Welcome back. Welcome to the Eden Room for those watching on the replay, because maybe we'll cut that beginning bit of my daughter just coming in and joining us. So welcome back to the Eden Room. Tonight we are going to take time to connect with your team in spirit. And as woo-woo as this sounds, this is actually very practical, because we couldn't do a psychic series and a week-long kind of short course on intuition if we didn't talk about your guides, your team. And there is nothing really weird about this. It's just that we haven't really made it conscious. We don't really talk about it, and it's not something that we're really aware of. And there's probably a few things I'm going to say tonight that might be even a bit blasphemous to some of you. So you can just take what works for you and leave what doesn't. I'm going to be sharing my truth, my experience after 20 years now of studying and being very fascinated with the metaphysical, beyond the ordinary, beyond what we can see, beyond what we can touch, and deeper awareness, like multidimensional awareness. And I'm going to just share with you the best of what I've got in the time that we can. And perhaps if you love this, or if you're hungry for more, you can let us know at the Eden Room, and perhaps we can do another part, or do a kind of follow-up, a sequel. So there's a couple of basics, and tonight the way we're going to do this is I'm going to just share with you some kind of like ground rules and understanding and context, and then we're going to go into a group guided meditation for you to meet your team, for you to meet your guides. And I think the most important thing to say as we begin this evening together is just to relax, like let your expectations go of what you think it will be or what you think it should be, and allow yourself just to kind of be in this experience and have the intention that this is going to be very easy for you, very natural, very fun. Just notice if things come up, like any dogma or shame or stories that might just hold you back from your good tonight, hold you back from receiving everything that your guides want to share with you. I'm going to ring my little tincture bells for a sec, just to kind of reset the room a bit. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I want you to imagine that your guides are so happy that you're here tonight. They are your team, they're your teammates. You are the ground crew on the planet. They don't have the same agency in the third dimension, as in this touch it, taste it, see it, feel it reality, as you do. Okay, so they've basically been waiting in the wings, like praying, like cheering you on, and really excited for you to come and be joining in this opening, in this invitation, as you open this door tonight to meet these guides of yours. They have wanted this as well. They are delighted. They are delighted to meet you properly and to have this encounter. As much as you feel maybe nervous or excited or a little apprehensive, I want you to know that they are really cheering you on, and they are like your best supporters. They are completely neutral. They don't judge you. They love you unconditionally. And they would never ask you to worship them. They would never have expectations on you, and you are not below them. The last thing they would ever want you to do is put them on some kind of a pedestal and lower yourself. That is hundreds and hundreds of years of conditioning on the human race that makes us feel like we're less than and we're not worthy. Maybe even I'm not spiritual, I'm not intuitive, I'm not good enough, I don't get it. We have these stories from very young age about who we're not. And so tonight's an opportunity to wipe that slate clean, suspend any disbelief and suspend any apprehension or stories you've had about your own ability to connect with your guides and to work with them. They're genuinely like your invisible family members, like your invisible allies. And they have been really looking forward to this opportunity to partner with you and to be sacred allies in your soul's mission on this planet, in this lifetime. So isn't that lovely? And I want you to really embrace that. Now, some people might find that blasphemous, that you don't have to worship them, or that you're on the same level as them. But really, no spiritual teacher, no guide that is legit would ever want to be worshipped, because they don't have an ego. They don't have an ego by their nature. So you should always question it when there's like a spiritual hierarchy. I personally don't believe in that. I don't believe in a spiritual hierarchy whatsoever. And so any guide that wants to be on a pedestal, that's ego, and your guides have got zero desire. That's the last thing they want, is to be put on a pedestal. Anytime that you put anybody on a pedestal, you actually like take on all of their shadow, like you take on all of their stuff, and you kind of lose your own power around them, and you lose your own sense of self. And that's the opposite of what your guides want. They want you to be fully in your power, and they want you to be fully yourself, because no one else can be you in this lifetime on this planet. So they hate that, basically. Like, don't do that. Number one. Rule one. So this is the next thing I'm going to say that people find a little blasphemous sometimes. As you upgrade your life, and as your soul goes through new lessons, new experiences, new challenges, maybe you start a new business, or maybe you want to go to a new income level, or maybe you decide you want to write a book, or I don't know, become a pop star, or like go to a new level with your creativity and your artwork, or photography, or writing, or maybe you have a new partner in your life, or whatever. Doesn't really matter. But whatever's going on in your physical world, there are sometimes ways in which we upgrade, right? We up level. People find this really shocking, but like, it's totally okay to have the intention tonight to upgrade your guides. Like, it's not a fixed thing. It's kind of like when the Queen reshuffles the cabinet or something, or the Prime Minister has a reshuffle in the cabinet. It's kind of like when you have a football team, and like the way the game is going means like the manager puts different like subs on different players to get the outcome that the manager wants. And your guides have got like nothing on it. They want your highest good. They're this benevolent force in your life. Again, they don't have an ego. They're not attached. It's like we project our humanness onto spirit. We project all of our human crazy stories and stuff onto these guides of ours. And it's not that they couldn't care less, like they don't care about us, because they do, but they don't think like that. Like, that's a very human way to think. So they have a lot of humor and a lot of lightness and a lot of levity, and they want to serve you. They're waiting to serve you. So this is your personal team, and there might be a little reshuffle that wants to happen for you tonight at this particular point in time, for what you're working on, for what is coming, for what you want to achieve or create. And this is something that you don't need me to guide you through at any point in time in your journey. You can set the intention or make a decision to have like a little reshuffle. Like something big comes your way, big opportunity, and you feel a bit out of your depth. You can sort of ask your guides, like, have I got the right team right now? Is there any subs that need to happen? Is there anybody there that's like waiting in the wings to come in and step in to support me with this next phase of my journey for this point in time? So it's like, give them the opportunity to do that. Do not get rigid, right? Like, that's the last thing spirit ever wants from you. Really, it's like the best way to break is to get rigid. So We want to stay nice and loose and open and flexible and free with this stuff, right? Magic is flowing and free. And this is really about magic. It's about being available for more magic and miracles in your life, because once you start working with your team and developing this relationship with them, it becomes everyday magic, you know, like practical magic. Like you can ask, you know, just for help with the tiniest things and the biggest things, like what shall I order from the menu? What should I wear? Help me do my makeup. Or like, God, help me close this 6-figure deal or whatever, right? Or this big contract. Or it's like they don't have an order of miracles. There's no order of miracles. So yeah, that's what I mean when I say magic. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes and they make me laugh. Yeah, your team want to be brought into your reality, into your everyday life. They don't, it's not about like floating around and worshipping, and it's just not about that. It's about you in your everyday reality, having your personal team and making this work for you in a very real world way. We've got the sun in Pisces tonight and we have the moon in Taurus. So it's lovely to have the moon in Taurus, because the most changeable planet, the fast moving, emotional, very sensitive planet is in Taurus, the earth, and the foundations, and very stable, grounded. So there's a beautiful energy for this work right now. And if you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to intend that you receive the transmission of this energy that we're hearing tonight, because it is pretty perfect actually for what we're doing. And so in saying that, I'm just about to start leading us through a meditation, and we're going to have this encounter. And before we do that, are there any questions? Has anybody got anything they want to add or share or ask before we go into that meditation tonight?
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me? Emma.
Oh, thank you. Emma says it's amazing to have some time to sit. Loving the session. Oh, Emma, are you talking? Let me just come to you. Hold on.
Can you see me?
I cannot hear you very well.
Oh, let me see if I can increase my volume. Can you hear me?
It might be because I turned my volume right down.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
How do you know when is the moment to potentially move on from a guide? What is it that your gut is like, time to have a shift? Or I mean, what is it that comes up? How does it come up? How does it present itself?
That's a good question. Well, it can just feel like a bit of a knowing, a bit like when you know it's time to refresh your wardrobe, or it's time to like have a bit of a declutter. You know, just things start to feel a bit stale or a bit stagnant, and you can just trust that. And then, you know, I'm a bit of a, I wouldn't say that. They're like, you're a guide tart. I wouldn't say I'm a total guide tart, but I do on a quite regular basis, because I'm going through such a lot of transformation these last few years. I quite regularly in my meditation will just check. So it's just like having those little check-ins when you're in a meditation. Maybe perhaps you have like an altar or a place where you sit that's like your comfortable, safe place, and you can just ask. I mean, I go direct to like the top. So I just sort of say, is everyone here for my highest good? You know, there's no like, because sometimes you can have guards, like guards that block you from the guides that are meant to be supporting you, that kind of keep you at a certain level. So I just sort of go to the top like you would go to the CEO, not to the gatekeeper, and just be like, is this the best team for me right now? And if not, could you make any substitutions on the team? And like, it's just something that I would do, like almost like a health check. You know, I would just do it regularly, the same way that you might check your oil in your car. Does that help, Emma?
Yeah, that's brilliant. And if I may, just one final thing is there ever a moment, or have you had a moment where you're like, okay, the guide is now in physical form here, and I'm identifying that that person or that guide is showing up in someone. Have you had that experience? Because I feel almost like that's what happens to me sometimes.
I definitely feel it with my cats and stuff. But I feel like I have a lot of sacred allies in human form these days, but it's almost like I see them slightly different than my team in spirit, but it's a similar thing. Definitely a similar feeling of tribe and a feeling of home and a natural sense of like, oh, I don't have to earn this. And I think that's where we get a bit stuck. Like, we think we have to be these particular kinds of people to get love from those around us. And it's kind of like the same with our guides. Like, oh, I'll have a really good connection with my guides when I meditate every day, or like when I'm spiritually perfect, or when I, stop drinking wine, or we have these crazy stories that kind of block us. And I think it's similar in that way, that the people that are meant to be around you and on your team, they just accept you and they get you, and you don't have to earn it and you don't have to try, and there's no struggle, and it's just completely easy and lovely and natural. And that's how it's meant to feel with your team. They are not sitting in judgment of you. They're not looking down on you. They literally just love you and want to serve you, and it feels like home to connect with them. And you just like sometimes just feel like the luckiest person in the world, because you have this relationship with this team. And like I get really mushy about my guides sometimes, like, I just love you so much. Like, and I think there's probably like a few staples. Like, there's probably a few core team players that don't go, like a guardian angel, or like a spirit or like a team member that's just like got your back, like a wing woman or whatever, that's just that kind of a presence throughout your whole journey. But then there's people that come and go as well, like a reason, a season, or a lifetime. In the physical world, I think it's the same in the energy field as well. So some of them come in for a particular time in your life, but there's people that are like, you're steady, and sometimes that's just like the most lovely feeling. And you'll probably find that as you connect with them more, you might even have realizations from childhood or stuff where you, like, I had a time where I was in hospital as a child, and I felt this strong presence that I sometimes connect with now. And it was only when I, in my 20s, started to develop that I was like, oh my God, that's what it was when I was 4, when I was 5, that's what was going on. So it's quite a nice feeling, like a nostalgia. But they're great questions. Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? I love taking your questions.
Kathy, can you hear me?
Oh, hi, Kathy. Yeah, hi.
Hi, Kat. So I'm just wondering, I'm very new to spirituality in the sense of sort of this forum, and I am just wondering how do you go about connecting with your guide or your spirit, or if you don't know that you've necessarily done it before. I mean, I think I'm a spiritual person. I think I have that sort of that aptitude for it, but I don't know that I would ever say that I fully would know if I've connected. I'm a bit like Emma. I've always felt like I would channel these feelings through people that come to me at different times in my life, and feel like there's a reason for that, and it means something. But perhaps, like you were saying, it's like you it's not necessarily what you're talking about here.
I see what you mean with that question now in a different way. Yeah.
Where does it come from, I suppose?
Yeah, like sometimes like an old man can suddenly turn around and say something, you're like, whoa, or like a kid, or
right,
like
or a friend that you've just gotten to know, that you're like, I think there's a reason why you're in my life in this moment.
Yeah, I hear you. I hadn't fully got that question in that case. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it could well be your guides like tapping them and just using them to share something. But my sense is it's just like their intuition. Like, sometimes in sessions, it's really clear when I'm like, oh, your guides are like this, and they want you to know that. But it's almost hard to put your finger on, because it's so innate. So it's like trying to tickle yourself.
Just
it's
in
like,
yeah,
it just is. And we're all spiritual people. You know, this idea of this construct that like we have to get somewhere or be something to get it isn't the case. Like we're all spiritual people. You can't really be separate from your spirit. Yes, you can develop the muscle, like you can work on the access that you have with your intuition or with your guides, with your team, in the same way that you can work on any relationship in your life. You know, you might want to work on your relationship with your mother or with your partner or with your children, and it takes a little bit of effort and a bit of consideration and kind of like conscious focus. And it's just exactly the same as that. So is that helpful at all?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of BS out there, which makes it tricky.
Oh, yeah, well, I just want to learn a bit more. It's very interesting.
It's so interesting, and it's really lovely. Like it's really essential. Like it's part of your essence. So that's what I mean when I say it's hard. You can't really separate it from yourself, and then it becomes this essential experience. So in terms of like what we'll do is we'll do the meditation, then maybe afterwards we'll talk about a few ways to just kind of keep it going, you know,
Yeah.
to kind of like keep stoking that fire and working with it, and ways in which, you know, we might be able to support you like moving forwards with it. As I said, perhaps we'll do a few more episodes if it's something that is helpful, because it's really fun. It's really fun as well. And definitely join tomorrow if you can with Nicole and Vicky, because this is the other thing I wanted to say this before we do the meditation. It's really up to you. There is like no right or wrong with this. It's whatever you say it is, and it's however you feel it is, and you might find it coming through a friend and that's true for you, and then that is true, you know. Like it might look like basically everybody experiences their guides differently. Everybody has a different, just like our learning styles are different, or our bodies have different nutrition, you know, like avocados work for me but they might not work for you, and whatever. Like we have different ways to experience this. So it's the communication and the support that's really important for them and for you, but your development of that is going to be quite unique. So it's kind of just a bit of practice and trial and error, and giving yourself freedom and permission to sort of get it wrong. You can't get it wrong, but just to like try things, and, you know, take your guides shopping, to ask your guides to wake you up at a certain time in the morning, ask your guides to give you a heads up if there's something you need to know. When you wake in the morning and you do like your rise window, or maybe you're doing a few minutes of yoga or whatever you like to do in the morning, having your coffee, set the intention. Like I set the intention, like I asked to be guided throughout this day. Like I'm inviting my team into this day to show me and make it clear, like bang me around the head with it if you have to. You know, you give them permission, because the light will never infringe. The dark will, they will infringe, but the light never will. So they will always wait for an invitation. They will always wait to be asked. And it's up to us to kind of become available and ask for the help. Even sometimes just to sort of, like if something happens bad, you know, something happens and you're feeling awful and you feel lonely or you feel despair, or you sort of sink down very quickly, that's the time to like ask your guides, you know, help. Okay, what do I need to know here? And maybe you affirm something as well. Also, if you're in a situation where someone's making you really uncomfortable, or you feel like there's an unhealthy cord or connection there, like a toxic dynamic, you can really ask your guides to like break any, like to disconnect. You can ask your guides, like you sort of connect with your guides and ask them, or to intend or feel like disconnect, and they'll help you. They'll help you with in all these ways. They just need to be invited, and the more specific the better. So you can sort of ask for a miracle in very specific ways. Like if you have to make your rent in a week and you've got £500 but you need £1,500, you can say to your guides, right, like I'm asking for a miracle on this. I need this much money by next Wednesday. Like help. Or, you know, whatever the thing is that you need the help with, you can ask them and they'll do what they can on your behalf. They can't always do everything, but they'll do what they can on your behalf. And so, yeah, and so it's up to you. And it's pretty amazing. Like, you don't have to see them. I don't see mine. I don't know what they look like or anything like that, but their guidance and support, I feel it. And I get messages, sort of knowings and communication in a non-verbal way. One of the ways I developed this was I got really into, in my 20s, dolphins. And if you ever read any Joan Ocean books, she talks a lot about teleempathy, like communication that is pre-verbal and pre-cognitive, and it's like a transmission. So sometimes words and constructs kind of get in the way of like the telepathy or the teleempathy, like the pure experience of vibrational exchange. You know, when someone's like finishes your sentences, you just have a connection. That's what it's like with your guides. So the dolphin human communication is really interesting, because obviously dolphins can't talk, and you might have this with your dog or with your cat. You have a communication with them, even though they're not human, and even though they don't use words, you know, like what they're feeling. Like my friend at uni, she was a dressage, like a horse rider, and her connection was with her horse was like incredible. They were just one, and they would do dressage, you know, all that pas de deux and stuff. It was incredible, like ballet on horseback. And I would go to the stables with her at like 4:30 in the morning, just because it was so good. It was so incredible to just observe it. So I've always been like I've always been fascinated in that levels of communication. And I think that really helps us understand how it is with our guides. They may not be human and they may not use words, but that doesn't mean we don't communicate and have an understanding and can develop that understanding. There was a time when my cat was not coming home, like she was sleeping in the garage because she was really upset. She'd had her kittens and then we'd had to get her neutered, and it was really bad. Like, I felt really bad and I didn't know how to support her. And I texted like the woman that supports me, and I was like, something's wrong with Rocket, like she won't come out of the garage. And my mentor texted me back and she's like, yeah, you know, she's not happy with you. And we had to do all this healing work, you know, energetically and intending and just supporting her. And Sandy, like my mentor, kind of cleared my cat, and then my cat kind of came back, and it was this journey with her. And then since then I haven't seen her just like this cat who's my pet. I've like seen her as this being, and had a relationship with her where sometimes I'm like, wow, these cats, like if I meditate, they jump on my knee straight away. I had a body scan last night, like an energetic body scan with one of the spiritual intuitives that's coming into the Eden room. And he was like, okay, you just meditate and I'm going to scan your body. And the cat just like immediately jumped on me. And they were like in another room. Rocket had a kitten. So we have these two cats, Rocket and Rune. If I meditate on my bed, they're straight there in my bedroom. You know, they and the dolphins were the same. The dolphins would swim up to you, and the young dolphins would come so close to you. But the minute you had a thought that was like, oh my God, like, you know, a contracted thought, like, am I worthy of this? They would swim away. So it was about how available and open, a lot like when a horse comes to you in a field, it's because you sort of put your energy in a certain way. And that's what lets it in. And I find that these things help me understand how to develop the relationship with my guides, with my team. And then it makes it very earthy, and it's not strange and out there. It's like, yeah, well, look at how you are with your dog, or look how you are with you know, some people have that incredible relationship with like the ocean or a particular tree, you know, and we don't think it's weird. We embrace it as kind of really what some of our human gifts that maybe got a little bit downtrodden and stamped out, especially when there was the big witch trial, because it was enough to walk your dog in nature to be burnt as a witch. And that's why a lot of us have fears around reconnecting with these natural, intuitive and spiritual gifts that really are our birthright. You know, we're born with them. If you look at like my 4-year-old daughter, she hasn't had any of that conditioning yet. So she always instinctively is like doing little magic things and singing little magic spells, and like very connected with fairies and like many things that like are enchanting. She's like an enchantress, you know, and that word enchant, it's like the idea of like a little song, little sing song. And in the Amazon jungle, the uncontacted tribes that have never been exposed to like the modern world, they still sing little funny spells over their dogs and their husbands and stuff. Like the women in the tribes, and they sing, you know, like in Quechua, not in English, obviously, but like, you're a good dog and you're faithful and you protect our home and you always come back, and then cast little spells. And you can do that on your home and on your food and around your kids when they go to school. You know, you just always intend that they're protected. You can, you know, always intend that their guides are strong around them and they're only got their highest good around your animals, your children, your home. You can see a protective field around your home. You can see that right now. Like, just pop it in your mind, like intend it. You're the power in your world. You are this sovereign being with so much more power than you've been led to believe. Like, we've had it stamped out of us for centuries. We're only really just beginning to touch the hem of the skirt of this like real divine feminine, this sacred life force that, you know, we have so much untapped power, and it's frightening for us because in our history and in our DNA, probably we're carrying some of those fears that it's dangerous, or that we'll be excommunicated, or will be laughed at, or will be worse, you know, exiled, killed, you name it, burnt at the stake. So a big part of it is like a very soft power, just quietly in your power, and grounding into the safety and letting yourself take time with it, like letting it be a journey, letting it be like a new focus maybe for you, but also just a gentle development. Like, you don't have to force it and you don't have to try too hard. Like, there doesn't need to be any struggle. It can be just curiosity, almost like a playfulness. Yeah, Bryony, feel free to ask a question, because in a minute we're just going to do the meditation. So I'm just taking any questions before we go into that.
Okay, sorry, yeah. Hi, Kat. Thank you so much for all of this amazing information. I'm loving it. I've just discovered you, so I'm so excited.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've got 3 guides that I occasionally tap into. I don't often visit them. And I'm not getting very far with my communication with them. So there's sort of 2 by my side and there's 1 in the distance. I know their names pretty much, and I've asked them. But I just I'm not getting far with my relationship with them, if you see what I mean. Is that normal?
You know, it's interesting. What's coming up is like, do you have that in any other area of your life where your attachment style is maybe like held at arm's length, where you find yourself holding people at arm's length, or other people hold you at arm's length?
Okay. Food for thought.
Food for thought. And then I would say our intention is so powerful. So if you intend and ask, like, you'd have to find the right words for you, but something along the lines, what's coming to me is like, I'd like to be closer with you. Like, I'd like you to come close, like, and draw nearer to me. I would probably, the caveat I would have is like, I would probably go like, again, like, I'd pray like, dear God, Great Spirit, Most High, whatever you say. For me, I say God, but like whatever you say for the divine, the infinite, like I'd say, divine creator, if it's for my highest good, like, please bring my guides close, those that are working in the light in a good way for the highest good of me and all life. bring them close and help me establish a stronger relationship with them for my highest good. And so I would always be putting the power straight to the divine. Like there's no hierarchy, there's no gap between you and God, like straight there, direct line, direct dial. But then what can happen is your guides are waiting for that invitation. So perhaps after tonight, you'll find a shift, or there'll be a reshuffle or something, and then you can just sort of be checking in. And maybe you can, like, there's so many different ways, but like a lot of people find writing helpful. So you can write with your, like Bryony, like me, what's going on? Like, I'm really curious, why won't you come closer? Or how do I get a stronger bond with you or a closer relationship with you? And then put like SG, like spirit guides, or team, or guide number 1, guide number 2, guide, like, and then just sort of write. And even if it seems crazy, and some people do this with their left hand if they're right-handed, to just like tap that part of your subconscious. And try not to overthink it, but just see if anything comes out that way. And it's one exercise that can be super helpful.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, good.
To ask.
Yeah, to ask. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Asking and setting the intention. Like, you could write the intention down. I now intend to have really healthy, harmonious relationship with the guides that are for my highest good, or something like that, just in a nice affirmation statement, and just say that to yourself for a couple of days. Like I told you about the little spells in the jungle, and how my daughter does that. It's like a natural sort of thing that we kind of forgot, that we, it's so interesting the way it stayed in our language though, because even the word spellings, you know, like spellings and sentence, like when you speak, you sentence yourself, that you're sentencing yourself to that reality, to that experience. So it's why our words are so powerful, to speak it out or to write it down or to sing it. So powerful. Especially when you've got that like intention and you've maybe meditated on it or prayed, and then it's like, I'm excited for you actually.
Thank you. That's great. That's great. Thank you. I'll turn off my mic.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Is everybody feeling ready then? Okay. Let's get a sip of water. There's this visionary artist, and his name's Jim Fitzgerald, and he draws these like Celtic goddesses. And whenever I see them, I always feel this like really strong sense of recognition. Like when I've kind of encountered my higher self, it's like, oh, she looks like that. Like she's always got like a headband. And he was like a big sensation in the 60s and 70s. He did like the Thin Lizzy album covers and stuff, and he did that really famous Che Guevara image. Anyway, the other day my guides were like, get one of those print, like I just had this like nudge, like you need to order a print, right? So sometimes like your guides will ask you to do what seems like really random weird things, like order the print. So I go online and I'm like kind of not really quite sure what I'm doing, which is quite common because it's a little bit sometimes, you know, there's static on the line, and I'm Googling around for this print. Anyway, I land on this Etsy shop selling these prints. Such a good story. And I'm shopping around and I'm like realizing like this guy has this archive of prints from like everything I studied at university, all the Irish rebels, these incredible goddesses. And then I'm like, who's running this shop? And I look at the name of the guy and it's him. And he's in his freaking, I don't know, 80s, running this Etsy shop, like the dude who did all these famous images. And I'm emailing him like, is that you? Like, are you there? And he's literally in Ireland printing out on a colour thing and doing these freaking amazing like little Etsy business like 50 years on. So he sent me this with my print and signed it, and like this is his little signature. Anyway, I've got her now right by my computer. And it's funny the way your guides work. So if you start asking for like little clues or visual representations or things that like remind you, you might want to have something just where you can see it, so that when you know, when you feel it, you've always got that connection, and it's some visual cues, little reminders for you to have that joyful like remembering, because part of it is literally just remembering to ask. You know, like you said, it's literally just knowing that this is available and a tool and a resource that we're meant to be making the most of at every opportunity now. So yeah, we're closing the gap between you and your team. Okay, I had to share that. I hope that was okay. It was a little bit of a tangent, but it's just such a fun story. All right, everyone. So you can leave your cameras on if you want to, or turn them off. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes now. Just relax. We're going to start with some nice slow breathing. Feel your body, feel your feet on the ground. Let your energy settle. Just feel a lot of love for yourself, like love around you. If you find that hard, ask to experience the love of the divine or unconditional love. And set the intention to connect with your higher self, to be supported in this exercise, and just suspend your inner critic, the kind of mean girl or the voice that's like, you're not doing this right, or any of that stuff, or this isn't working for you, or whatever. Just like literally open the door and like sit her outside in the waiting room and then come back in. And in here, you don't have to be cool, like you don't have to be anything, you just get to be you. And so totally rest into you. And like, you can sigh if you need to, just, oh, what a relief, right? Feel your shoulders drop. Let your energy just sort of sink into your chair. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be quote unquote spiritual to get this. This is just about you meeting up with you, really, meeting up with your divine team workers. Okay, so you can already start to feel a sort of levity, like a light energy, like kind of a joy, almost like a giggle, like it's quite, usually anyway, my experience is like, it's not so serious, you know, it's like, don't take yourself too seriously, like it's kind of that, you know. So just notice anywhere in your body you might be holding on a little bit tight or a little bit rigid or a little bit tense or a little bit fearful, and just let that go. Let that go. That's it. And just take some more nice deep breaths, feeling that kind of inner smile, like smiling inside yourself, just feeling that inner joy that you felt as a child that was pretty easy. You know, they talk about how many times a day a child laughs versus an adult, and how often they move versus an adult. So just like, see if you can just like allow that bubbling up within you to just kind of rise like a cork that's been pushed down, and let that just spread over your body. That's nice. Okay, so now we're just going to imagine some nice roots going down through the soles of our feet and through the trunk of our body, like a taproot, deep into the heart of Mother Earth. Just setting the intention that your roots reach the heart of Mother Earth. And if you wish, you can imagine these roots wrapping around a big crystal in the core of the earth, or just feeling into the warmth and the solidity down, down, down. And ask that warm, nurturing earth energy to keep you grounded and hold you steady. And you can also just release any heavy energy into the earth for healing and transformation. I always say, like, density is like food for the earth. So you don't need to feel bad if you're having a bit of a hoocha dump, like a heavy energy dump. It's fine. Just let it go, let it go, let it go. Give it to the earth. She'll take it for healing and transformation, and just give thanks as you release. And so feeling light in your spirit, Imagine yourself sitting in a cascade of beautiful, divine white light or gold light. And it's like a waterfall just flowing over your body, like through the top of your head, down over your shoulders, your arms, the back of your neck. It's flowing over you, but also through you, within you, in every cell and fiber of your being. Just feeling this light. It's warm, it's safe, feels really nice and enlivening in your cells. You're just receiving that flowing through you all the way down through the roots, and intend and ask the light that when it reaches the core of the earth, it bounces back up into your heart. And remember, light travels quicker than sound. So even before you hear me, it's happened, and then ask that light to spin out around you in a luminous egg in 360 degrees. This is you in this safe, luminous space, in this little egg. And ask that light to flow out into the room that you're in, into your home. Ask that light to expand across the earth. And still feeling your own center. So you kind of like got this way to hold this light around you, and also to know that that light is everywhere, and kind of see it around the whole of Mother Earth as well, if you can hold that at the same time. All right, so just don't overthink it, don't worry about it if it's not like feeling there. Just hold that light inside, and just now start to imagine yourself walking into a place where you feel really good in nature. Maybe for you, that's the mountain. Maybe it's the beach. Maybe it's the forest. Maybe it's a little cabin. Just allow yourself to kind of wander through your mind's eye and find somewhere that you like to go in nature. Somewhere safe, somewhere that you feel really grounded. Anywhere that feels good to you, the woods. Get into your heart. Just relax. And when you're settled, you might want to just do anything that will make you more comfortable. And feel in your heart and just get a sense of your guides, of your team. Might be one in particular or more than one. Whatever comes, just trust whatever you feel, whatever you sense, whatever you see. Some of you might see color or shape, might see, it can be anything really. So whatever you see or experience or feel or know, just trust that, trust that. You can't get it wrong. And just feeling into your heart, invite and intend to meet with your spirit guides and feel the gratitude that they have and that you have to be working closer together than before. To be almost like shaking on a deal, to be kind of like, taking it to the next level, like signing on a house or signing a contract, or it's like making a stronger union. It's almost like getting married or, moving in together. It's like you're willing to cross the threshold. You're willing to work with them and invite them and feel any fear just falling away as you sort of high five or connect. You might want to hug, you might want to just feel whatever works for you. You might want to embrace. It might not be human, which is fine. Breathe, keep breathing deep. Trust whatever comes, trust what doesn't come. Some people, it's literally just a sort of space, but a benevolent one. And a trust that now from here in, you can call on this help, even if you don't quite know how, and even if doesn't quite make sense to your conscious mind, that's okay too. Doesn't need to be a figure, but it can be. And just notice any other sensations in your body right now. Like, notice any qualities of the energy you feel. In some ways, people doubt and question because there's almost like a sense of it's too normal, like nothing happened. And that's as it should be. Like it's not anything beyond you. It's natural and normal and okay and easy. That's kind of why we overlook it. It's like the little story about the two fish, and they swim up to the big fish and they say, "Excuse me, we're looking for the ocean." And the big fish says, "This is the ocean, you're in the ocean." And they say, this is just water. And it's like that as you meet your guides. It's like, oh, we've been here all the time. I know this. Just feel that in your heart. And it might be nice, if you wish to, in your visualization, you can get up, you can move around, you can intend to sort of like, if you wish to kind of see more than one, and you can kind of like walk up to different spaces, or just trust your intuition. Go where you're guided, go where you're led. If there's things you want to play out, use your own agency within your mind's eye to kind of look around and get a sense of things, of this landscape, of any messages or gifts. What's being given to you? Just open to receive it. It may well not make a lot of sense, and that's okay too. But it may do. Just go with that. And then thank the guides, thank your team in spirit. You might feel like it's still kind of, there might be a spaciousness or a feel, like it might be that you're trying to understand it in a conscious way, and I invite you to let that go, because it's really just this meeting, this enveloping and allowing. So just allow your spirit to roam, allow your senses to sense, this kind of sixth sense, going beyond your everyday, and just being available to see or feel or hear or know or encounter those that are walking with you right now. And we're just going to say a little prayer. Dear God, Divine Creator, thank you so much for this time and space together tonight. Pray over all the women in the Eden Room. Pray over their families, their friends and loved ones. And we pray over their relationship with their team in spirit and with you. We pray that they feel held and supported and find their own unique way of communicating with their team so that they may lead the lives that they are meant for and become all they are born to be. And we pray this believing, and so it is. Amen. And so we're just sealing off this meditation. You might want to, in some way, again, exchange something with your guides. I'll leave that up to you if that feels good. And just gently, after you've said goodbye for now and invited them. You know, if you have a message, if you have a request, make it now, make it clear. Set that intention that you're happy and excited to be walking with your guides now, and that you're asking for any, you know, reshuffles that want to happen for your highest good to take place, that your guides are all working for the light in the highest good of life, all life, and you, of course, in a really beautiful way. And that you will, they really intend that you will feel, you will hear, you will know, you will remember to ask, and you will be guided. And you will experience this pretty awesome and special connection wherever you go. And there's nothing you have to do to earn it. It just is, and it's yours by divine right. So give thanks for that. And when you're ready, just start to come back and feel your body. Maybe just tap your feet or wiggle your fingers, shrug your shoulders, start to really kind of re-inhabit your physical self. And just gently bringing yourself back, opening your eyes, taking some nice breaths, hopefully feeling good and centered and peaceful. We went just 2 minutes over, so I'm sorry for anyone that had to shoot off straight away, but we did have a bit of a delay at the start, so I'm happy to stay on for another 15 minutes or so. If anyone has questions or would like to share, maybe you just want to stay in like a silent kind of cozy place and drift off for a beautiful dream, and that's totally fine. Don't feel any obligation to stay, but if you would like to stay on and just share anything that came up for you or any questions you have, and if you feel a little incomplete, that's okay. I think it's really important that you kind of take the power and the initiative with you. Like, it's not really something that is necessarily this one-time event. It's something that really we've just opened the door tonight. We've just given a kind of like an invite, an opening, an experience, so that you can work with this. You can go and keep fishing. You know, tonight was just about me showing, okay, here's how I bait my hook, and here's where I like to drop it, and here's how I do it. And then you get to go and be like, well, what do I feel, and how do I like it, and you know, how do I then feel my own way with it? And so I really invite you to explore that and enjoy that journey, and not feel like there's any kind of particular right way. Yeah, so any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment. Emma said amazing. Thanks, Emma. I'm glad you liked it. And I think I like really smudged my mascara in the prayer because I was getting all misty-eyed. What if guides and guards and you don't know? I find I'm distrustful of some because they can be trickster spirits. So how do we discern that? That's a great question. So someone's asking anonymously. I think you want to be anonymous. Is what about if guides are guards and you just don't know? I'm distrustful of some because they can be trickster spirits. So how do we discern that? Oh yes, she doesn't mind being. So this is a great question, actually, Poppy, and I think it's important. So I think the first thing with this question is to understand that yes, there are instances where there are trickster spirits, but again, the things that we've done tonight, the way we've set it up, by always intending that this is like from the divine and it's from the light. And if you're not sure, say, for example, there's a lot of discrepancy over like certain archangels, because quite often they fall into that category. And arcan means controller, like hence the word anarchy is like anti-control. So that's often like in the Bible and stuff where they talk about fallen angels or trickster spirits, devils, demons pretending to be angels. You can usually tell if they want worship or power. You can usually tell if they sort of, you can tell, like in the same way when you can tell with the human when they're really kind of up in their ego or that they've been in that way. So all you need to do is just intend, I'm working with this of the light. And usually our team, they don't necessarily like show themselves in that way. they don't necessarily have definition. I think a trickster spirit tends to quite often be very like more of a construct, like looks this certain way and has this particular name, and you know, there's more like illusion and glamour in that, whereas the guides that are our true guides, it's just more of a sort of a feeling, it's just more of a sort of a knowing, and it's not loads of constructs. There's a really nice saying in the Upanishads, Alan Watts talks about it, where it's like, he who thinks he knows the Brahma knows not, and he who does not know knows he does not know knows. It's like when you start to get loads of like constructs and all rules around it and stuff, then it starts to become a bit more jiggery pokery. I don't know if I've done a very good job of explaining that. Oh, Kathy says, I had tears in my meditation when you talked about the earth absorbing those hard feelings. So beautiful. Thank you, Kat. That was really great. I'm really glad, Kathy. I'm glad that was helpful and that you got to release some energy that was maybe not serving you. Poppy, did I answer your question very well? I'm not sure that I did. I think it was a very good question. I think part of it is just having that in your awareness so that you can always intend that you're working with the light. Oh, I did. Okay, good. It's almost like I don't want to speak to it in a way. I don't want to bypass it because I think it's super important. But it's just like what you know, you just want to keep your attention, your focus in that most high place, like in that essence of truth. Like your mind can't ever really reach truth. It can get quite close, but truth's always in that sort of silence, in that stillness, because the minute you have words, you're in the mind and you're in constructs. So it's really nice to just let yourself stay in that space. Marie Francis said she felt very emotional during meditation. Oh, yeah, it's good to let things flow and move through. Poppy said, a very helpful controller spirit or helpful spirit. Yeah. I think it's really important to have that discernment, super important. And muscle testing, if you can muscle test, and just kind of, yeah, pray that you only work with the true divine light, not the false light, not the glamour. And you know, not the new cage either, because there's a lot of like spiritual rules that are really just the same as a religion, and they just disempower humanity. So anything that wants to disempower you is probably not benevolent. It's really about humans fully realizing their power and their divine, you know, like making manifest that which is within them. I think that's it, onto the planet, because that's why we're here. Any other questions or shares before we go? Okay, well, I wish you a really beautiful evening. I hope you have a good dream, a good sleep. If you're watching on the replay, please feel free to send us any questions or comments, feedback. We'd love to hear from you. I hope you're enjoying the Eden Room so far. We do have, if you're live, so I'll say good night now, actually. Good night. But if you are on live, tomorrow is the Psychic Sundowner from 5 until 6. So when the sun sets tomorrow, it sets on Pisces season, like this month with the sun being in Pisces, and it goes into Aries, and Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. So it's kind of like the end of the astrological year. So at 3 p.m. we have this New Orleans medium. She's great, and we're going to be connecting with like deceased loved ones. That's at 3, but at 5, Vicky Green, the astrologer and tarot reader, is going to be doing mini readings, and it'd be a really nice way just to sort of like wrap this week up. If you've been with me today, or you've been with me at all this week, you might enjoy that. Like, come and join us, bring a drink if you want. It's kind of cocktail hour, 5 till 6, having this Psychic Sundowner. And we're tying up this series because next week, obviously, it's the spring equinox on Monday. So we've got a session on Monday for you for the spring equinox, and then we've got a whole new chapter of events because we're at the beginning of the astrological year with Aries, Sun in Aries, totally different energy, you guys, like moving out this dreamy, wistful, intuitive Piscean, and really into the, like, now we're going into the actions. We've done all this work this month with alignment, with in, with leaning back, with like really fine tuning, and then boom, next week we go into Aries, and it's that forward motion, the I am, a lot of you know, the spring emerging and awakening, and all the colors and life getting really yang again. And it's going to be exciting after such a deep winter to see what fruits are going to bear from that. So I hope you're enjoying this journey, and I hope you'll be joining us for these further events. Look forward to sharing more with you, and thank you so much for being here and just going with this beautiful night. It's new, we haven't done anything like this before, so I'd love to hear how you found it. Gorgeous. All right, thanks for all your lovely comments. I'll see you in the Eden Room, and take care. God bless. Bye for now.